Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. From masonry to roofing supplies, A.G. Hines Company carries the most trusted names in building. They also carry cutting-edge materials designed to make your project energy and cost efficient. Right in downtown Knoxville, and they got a second location in Blountville if you're in Upper East Tennessee, and if you're watching up there online. A.G. Hines Company, get out and see them. If you have a do-it-yourself project that you're going to have to tackle it with A.G. Hines. All right. People can continue to vote right there. We're at 73 for, most people think that's a fair verdict. We still got votes coming in that I'm watching here, but it's not moving a lot because most people are clicking that same thing. They're canceling out the people who are saying it's an unfair, unjust travesty like Marlon. All right. If the penalties had been worse, you might have had more debate over the path Tennessee chose to follow. But they did have options, and let's take a look here at what Tennessee could have done. All right, number one, you fire Pruitt, you don't pay him, and you turn yourselves in and cooperate. Obviously, that's what they chose with this option. They got 2.5 years of bad press and some stress out of it, more than $1 million in legal fees out of it, and the penalties that just came down. So that was what we know. Now, they could have fired Pruitt and just paid his buyout, and then gotten lucky that the NCAA didn't investigate, or they investigated and didn't find as much as you showed them, and they got no penalties or lesser penalties than what they got. Lots of schools now fight the NCAA, that's kind of we're just going to keep it to ourselves and fight them. Now, the other side of that is, let's say you fire Pruitt, pay his buyout, fight the NCAA, but they do start investigating. They find a lot, and they hammer you for not coming clean and cooperating. So the other option was a gamble. But it's important to remember the option they took was also a gamble. The NCAA came out and said that this was the first time they had this number of violations, and they didn't give a postseason ban. Tennessee was still sweating it. Remember, they went back to fight that failure to monitor charge just recently. So it's not like it was a sure thing, the option they chose. My question then is, you could make a case that, the guidelines changed while they were in this. You could say, were they smart or were they lucky? Because things changed in their favor in this way. So my question is, we know what it turned out, but in your opinion, did they, in hindsight, handle it the right way? Considering you got a fair verdict. You might have gotten no verdict, or you might have gotten hung out to dry. Though the NCAA really isn't opening a whole lot of cases these days that aren't handed to them with FBI wiretaps. So I don't know if they have the manpower to dig into you. So I would probably lean to, you might have gotten away with it if you just bought him off. Your thoughts, though? Did they handle it correctly? Chuck?
Yes, I think they did, and I think you go back to when you got the anonymous email to Dante Plowman and her reaction to that. It's tough to me to pay somebody to buy them out when you think they have done as many, committed as many violations, done as many wrong things as they did, lied about it, deceitful, and everything else. So I think that makes it tough to pay them and then go fight it. I think whether good fortune or not, I think it worked out. They handled it the best way.
So even if they had gotten hammered by doing this, you would say the principal made it the right thing to do. Okay, very good. We know where Chuck stands on this. Marlon, did they handle it the right way? Or should they have fought in some way?
I think, the question is, would all these violations would have been found?
Would they have?
If we have paid them out, fired them, and then kept it moving, would we end up with 200 or we end up with 4 like LSU? So I'm gonna say he handled it the right way. We got a coach out of here that wasn't doing his job, and then also he was terrible at cheating, so that wasn't any good. And then also, like you said, we missed the bowl ban. I don't like the fact we got to pay $8 million, but I'll take it.
Out of your pocket?
Yeah, I know, but I'll take it.
Unless you're a much bigger booster than I know.
No.
Did they handle it the right way, guys?
By the way, I have enjoyed that there's been legitimate criticism of how they cheated. It's like, not the cheating.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
They're bad at it.
Yeah.
They're all cheating.
I think they handled it the right way in terms of the results that they got. I think one or two in that graphic that you just put up, John, I think either one could have worked out. You could have done a settlement with Pruitt where he gets some money and he's not going to battle you anymore. So it doesn't have to be the full buyout.
True. Pay him less.
Where you're paying him less, and maybe that works out more even.
Yeah.
So considering where we know Tennessee football is, I think that's at least in our subconscious when we look at this. We know Tennessee football is in good shape now. If Tennessee weren't winning right now, we'd look at these penalties probably more.
Or if Tennessee was winning then, maybe you look at it different.
I would look at it this way. We're saying they handled it the right way because they didn't get the bowl ban.
Yeah,
If they'd handed them a bowl ban, would we be sitting here today saying they handled it the right way?
definitely.
It's, and it would have been the
No.
same. They did everything the same,
Yeah.
but they got the bowl ban. They're the first school that had this many violations that didn't.
Yeah.
We'd be saying the opposite. So
But
that in mind,
yeah.
I'm trying to pull someone in with me. Jimmy, did they handle it the right way?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Here's the concern. So the chancellor gets a letter alleging violations, and if you don't do something, you're covering it up, right?
Right.
That's a
but-
cover-up.
Oh, that's
So-
true. You're talking about the letter, the internal.
whistleblower.
Yeah, the internal letter. So now you're covering it up. You're not pursuing it. Yeah, that is a problem.
And that becomes
yes, it
even
is
worse.
a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, you're right. That's never happened at a university.
Well, but, all right, but so this gets out there, and
No,
I don't know how, would they have come up with 200 violations? No, I think the internal investigation turned up a lot of that,
Yeah.
but there still could have very easily been an investigation. Then you're ensured that you're going to get a bowl ban because you didn't cooperate,
Yeah, you
right?
could have gotten hammered for not
Right.
playing ball.
And then the only reason you fired Pruitt is because you thought there were violations, right? Because Fulmer's defending him.
Yeah, we'll get into
Isn't
that.
He?
Yeah,
He's defending him.
Fulmer was
so-
still defending him.
So you fire him. It's like, why'd you fire him? Well,
Yeah.
so I think that plays into why I think it was the right decision.
You guys are no fun. I come out here, I try to play devil's advocate.
See what I started?
Yeah, you're all too.
But here's what I
you're all
wonder.
wise to my devil's advocacy.
And I thought about this. Dante Plowman gets the original anonymous email, correct? Say she doesn't act. Who gets the next email? Who gets the one after that? Then what happens? Then you've got something much bigger than what you started with.
I still look. I give them credit. I mean, if I were to answer that question and not play the devil's advocate, I would say they handled it the right way. Because I'm more cautious. I wouldn't have said, "Heck with them." We'll talk about that in the next segment. Things I would have done that they didn't, and turns out I was wrong. But it is important to remember, though. They got a little lucky in this. The guidelines changed. The NCAA got defanged during this process after they'd gone ahead and said, look at what we did. The NCAA's guidelines changed about we're not going to punish the players anymore. We're going after the coaches. All that worked in their favor. COVID and the backlog, I think, worked in their favor as well. So they handled it. It worked out well. I'll give them credit. But it was not, what a genius move. There was still a dice roll.
One quick point. I think Tennessee had some inside information because with the Reformation Committee, they were not going to give a bowl ban if you cooperated. Who is a co-chairman of that
Oh,
committee?
yeah, Sankey.
Greg Sankey. So I think they had some knowledge about where that was going to go with the Reformation Committee.
Here's the thing. I'll be interested to see if there's never any more bowl bans given. Because if there are, then we're going to have to turn around and say, okay, that was gambling. I mean, I don't think Greg Sankey knew there will be no more bowl bans. I think they're saying they're leaning toward that, but clearly
Yeah.
they considered it. They talked about considering it. They said
Right.
if it weren't for the cooperation,
Yeah.
we would have hit them.
So if you don't cooperate, you're going to get one.
Yeah,
Right.
but
If
I
you do
wonder.
cooperate,
But
But
that's
unless
the
rich
question.
conference, they might not be able to take that fine. And then at that point, you might have to take your postseason punishment.
Yeah.
So SEC and Big Ten schools might be able to go a different way compared to Pac-12, Big 12.
That's true. That's an interesting point. Let's see moving forward if anybody cooperates and still gets a bowl ban.
Right.
Because what level of cooperation? They commended Tennessee for their over-the-top cooperation. What if somebody,
Exemplary.
yes. What if somebody else is less than exemplary cooperation?
There's not 1.5 million worth of cooperation.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, how much do they pay on legal fees? All right. When we come back, what impact will the penalties have on, well, actually, I'm jumping ahead, aren't I? Yes, I am jumping ahead. When we come back, we'll talk about the impact it'll have on Josh Heupel, but that'll be later. Next, I want to talk about what I got wrong, what other people got wrong. And a little later in the show, we'll talk about which ex-coach did the most damage. So what we got wrong, that's next. Come on back on the Sports Source.